Hello guys, and welcome to Final Fantasy V Blackmage Single Class Challenge. Right, so as the name implies, we're going to be using only Black Mages. There's no restriction on whether we need to use all 4 of them, or we can use 1 or 2 or 3, but yeah, just to keep things simple, I'm going to use all 4 of them, try to, we'll see. I've absolutely not planned this out at all, like I normally do with my FF2 challenge runs, but of course that's because I have nowhere near as much knowledge of FF5 as FF2. So this is an attempt to rectify that situation, because this is very clearly my second favorite RPG and my second favorite Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy in general is really my favorite series, simply because there's so much thought put into the tactical aspect of things, and this game epitomizes that concept more than any other game in the series. So the only reservation I have against a single class challenge in Final Fantasy V is that it pretty much goes against the grain of the nature of the game. I think the basis, the main motif in this game is the mixing and matching of abilities and jobs. Essentially, it's all about abilities. It's not even about the jobs. The jobs themselves are just an avenue to learn abilities, so that finally you get well-rounded characters with a lot of abilities, and you can use whatever abilities you have in whatever situations you want. And of course, it's not just the abilities. There are a lot more things to this game, but what I've been told is that forcing yourself into a challenge run like this really demonstrates what this seeks to make me learn is how each job functions in various phases of this game. This game there are a lot of phases of this game, and unlike Final Fantasy III, actually you can't really say that. Job system was introduced in Final Fantasy III, and we could see that in some cases, I'm talking about the NES version, by the way. The remake is a lot more balanced. Sorry. Pardon, I had to cough. But what was I talking about? So yeah, there are a lot of phases of this game, and I'd like to see how whatever class I'm using for this challenge run. So right now I'm starting with Blackmage. How a Blackmage holds up in the various phases of the game. So I'm starting off with a Blackmage only because I've been told that this is probably the easiest one. That by no means indicates that it's going to be easy in general. If you've ever seen one of my Final Fantasy II challenge runs, it's anything but difficult. The entire purpose of the challenge run in Final Fantasy II is I just use that to demonstrate how easy the game is in general, no matter how many restrictions you've got. But in here, I think it's going to be slightly different, but I'll be pleasantly surprised if it is as easy as it was told to me. So yeah, what my intention is by doing this challenge run is, as I pointed out, to see how this one particular job holds up in various phases of the game. So I think that effectively, in a sense, will give me mastery of this job, to know its weak points, where it's strong, and how it gels with other aspects of this game, like. Is there any equipment that only this job can use that will prove very worthwhile? And what are the abilities that we can use from this job that are very beneficial for us? I'm talking about jobs in general, not just the Blackmage. Obviously, until we get the first crystal, or rather until we break the first crystal, wink wink, nothing's gonna happen. So let's just let's just get these formalities over with. We can't dash in the SNES version, right? Yeah, so I'm not a fan of active battle. I'm more of a turn-based guy. But since Final Fantasy V does not have a pure turn-based system, I'm gonna set the battle speed to slowest to simulate as much as possible turn-based nature. Yes, sadly we cannot dash. So effectively, as I was talking of, the purpose of this challenge run is to allow me to gain a lot more information about the job and how it works in various phases of the game. This will effectively help me with one of the most famous challenge runs of this game, which is called the Final Fantasy IV Job Fiesta, where your jobs are forced in your party. So this is probably the best way to, prepare for that. And I think ultimately the simple fact of the matter is that I really couldn't come up with any clever challenge run like I normally do with FF2. I was thinking about two of the FF2 challenge runs that I like the most, which is No Magic and Magic Only. But I just couldn't figure out how it would be possible to do something like that in Final Fantasy V. Because there are some stages in the game where you just can't get away. But maybe that's just my lack of expertise in this game speaking. Maybe I should give it a try. But for the time being, I feel the best way to gain a better understanding of this game is to just use one forced job throughout the game and find out where it is strong, where it is weak. Obviously, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to be doing a Berserker challenge run. In fact, I don't know how long even this challenge run is going to take. But over a course of a long time, I plan to try out all of the jobs. Some will be very grindy, so I think I'll only go as far as my patience allows me. Because I know Berserker is very frustrating, White-Mage is very grindy. What else? There are a lot of other jobs which need a lot of grinding as well, so I'm just not going to bother with that. I think instead of doing something like that, one of the best ways to understand jobs is to just force it in your party. So instead of having all 4 characters with the same job, I think I'll try out a pseudo 4-job fiesta type of thing where only one of the characters will have a forced job. And meanwhile, so what I do with a game I really like, any game, is first thing I do is try to figure out a no grinding run. And by no grinding, I mean what I mean by a no grinding run is just to constantly make progress. Oh my god, it's really hot today. Constantly make progress, take all encounters on the way, don't not to bother with any extra encounters. And with whatever levels and ABP is the more important, conceptually the more important experience metric in this game. So that's what I've been working towards, and I think I've come up with a pretty good route. At least I think it's pretty good, and which allows us to beat the game at about level 37. Of course, there is the low-level challenge of this game where you can beat the game at like level 3 and 4 even. But contrary to what a low level run is supposed to be, well, at least in my case, a no grinding challenge is supposed to be. A low level challenge actually requires a lot of grinding, but it's very interesting. It was the thing that I was considering first and foremost. Because when I saw a low level run of this game, I was very impressed. The only thing that set me off was the fact that I need to grind a lot, and a lot. It's a lot. It's totally repetitive grinding. I mean, that's just something I do not enjoy. So instead, I decided to try a no grinding route. So I think I've pretty much set that route now. I'm just trying it out like 4 or 5 times. And instead of streaming it, I think what I'll do is I'll create a YouTube LP of it. Might be interesting. Edited videos. I've never really had the time to do something like that. I just multi-stream on Twitch and YouTube. So essentially, all of my YouTube videos are just Twitch stream archives with all the crap as well as all the gameplay. It's not always gameplay all the time. Wind is calling my ass. I don't know when I'll actually get the time to edit videos, record and edit videos, but that's definitely a project I'm planning to take up. And also I've seen on YouTube that whatever playthroughs of Final Fantasy V I've seen on YouTube are quite grindy, except for the amazing HC Bailey, of course. But even the HC Bailey LP does one form of grinding, if you can call it grinding. Running away from fights is also something that is calculated, surprisingly, in this game. And you need to run away from like 255 fights, which is not trivial. Let me tell you that it is not trivial at all. So now, while everybody is a freelancer, I've got pretty much free reign on what I want. Until we actually get the jobs, I'm just gonna. The challenge run only really kicks in once we get the Wind Crystal jobs, which is, you can say it is after the first dungeon, or if you can call that a dungeon. There's no boss at the end. The enemies are all in one-shot range, even at our levels right now. But technically speaking, you can call that the first dungeon, the Wind Shrine. But yeah, the challenge run only starts when we get the jobs, of course. So I'm pretty interested to find out how this goes. There are some parts of the game which I can't see how to do without grinding, but what I'm interested in finding out is whether I'll be able to come up with some clever strategies. I think it's in my best interest to pretty much run away from everything. Running away will help with getting the chicken knife instead of the brave blade. Since I've been practicing my no grinding route, I'm in a habit. I formed a habit of just taking every encounter, but I really shouldn't do that, if for no other purpose but to increase the challenge in this game. Let's see how low level we can get away with, even using only Blackmages. One good thing about, well, can you call it good if you don't really care about what is the most important aspect of this game? So one good thing about our challenge run here is we don't really care about ABP. There is, given that we take at least a certain number of fights, Oh my god, what is up? What is up? Why is it suddenly become so warm in here? I don't get it. It was like, I don't know, maybe because I started talking? I don't get this. Weird phenomenon happening here. Suddenly I've just started sweating a lot. Hang on. Right, so one good thing about our challenge run here is that we don't really care about ADP. We kinda do, but we don't, not really. So, Blackmage. Blackmage's abilities are progressively Black level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6, and then finally MP plus 30. So obviously we don't care about Black level 1 to 6 simply because as a Black Mage in his own job has access to all of the black magic spells. He doesn't need his own abilities, which takes away a major chunk. Of the tactics in this game. Since we don't really care about what abilities we're going to learn, we don't really care whether we get GP or not. EXP is what will determine our HP, and essentially levels is what determines the power of our offensive and the amount of HP we have, the amount of MP we have. So essentially it's going to be all about EXP, and even that I'm going to try and minimize just to see what kind of a challenge it poses us. I think that at certain stages in the game we will be required to have at least a minimum amount of HP, given the nature of this challenge run. But since we are doing a single class challenge run, there are some things that a black mage just cannot do. There are something that a black mage just will not be able to do. And I guess one of the things about a traditional RPG as opposed to Final Fantasy II is that you don't really have to care. I mean, given enough level grinding, in a game where everything is tied to levels. By the way, not everything is tied to levels in this game. Let me make that very clear. Which is why a low level run is possible. But I'm just talking about a traditional RPG. In a traditional RPG where everything is tied to your levels, and essentially your level is just a function of how much EXP you get. Given enough grinding, you can overcome any challenges, and I think Dragon Warrior is the perfect example of that. Dragon Warrior 1, by the way. Dragon Warrior 2 and 3, I don't know about 3, but 2, I'm told that it's very, very different. Some tactics involved, but it's still, you get the point. So in a game where everything depends on levels, enough level grinding will get you past any challenge, any obstacle. So from that perspective, I think we'll never be in an unwinnable position, no matter how restrictive the challenge we face. Again, I must say that is not like Final Fantasy II, where because of the free leveling system, even if you try to grind max HP and MP, which generally HP is considered the mark of survivability after all, you're not really guaranteed to survive certain fights. But in general, in a level-based system, enough level grinding will see you through any wall. So, which is why my purpose here is to find out what walls do the black mages face. I think that will give me very important information. Essentially, I think the beauty of Final Fantasy V is coming up. The most enjoyable thing about playing Final Fantasy V is to come up with a job setup where all 4 of your characters work in tandem. It's not particularly difficult, but especially that's why a 4-job fiesta exists, what happens if your guys are forced into certain jobs? How do you synergize that team? I think that is one of the most enjoyable ways to play Final Fantasy V, like a tactical game with the restrictions. As an RPG, it's pretty easy, given you have enough information about the game. So by finding out about individual jobs, what difficulties they face, which phases of the game do they face difficulties, which phases of the game do they shine, that'll give us a very good idea of you know how you can blitz through the game in a 4-job fiesta setting. There are a lot of cutscenes in this game. But it's nothing like modern RPGs. I can't even tolerate these cutscenes. I don't know how people tolerate long cutscenes. I mean, even the Golden Sun games on the GBA had incredibly long cutscenes. This is a SNES game, for crying out loud. It's pretty ridiculous, but that is what an RPG is after all. I've been watching Matt stream Bravely Default, and holy shit, that game is like certain bits of gameplay in between cutscenes rather than gameplay. But like I said, that is what an RPG is supposed to be. So I'm the weird one out here. So what I'm going to be trying here is I'm going to try to run away from pretty much every random encounter until I hit a wall, and only after that will I try to grind my way out of it. Like I said, I have not planned this at all, which is probably not a very good idea. Maybe I really should have spent a little bit of effort planning this out, but I would like the surprise. I would very much like the surprise. So once I hit a wall somewhere, I can already see that perhaps Siren might prove difficult. I don't see any obstacles before Siren. But actually getting surprised by getting thrashed, hitting a wall, not being able to get through a certain part of the game, that'll ingrain that memory in my mind forever. That's the hope anyway. Of course, when I tried the same thing with Final Fantasy II, that never happened. And Thoria makes a very good point that once you know a game so well, once you know a game as well as I do Final Fantasy II, it's really no surprise that no matter what challenge run I pick up, it seems to be easy. Although to be fair, I'm really Final Fantasy II is just, it comes so natural to me now. I think all of my challenge runs are designed itself to be easy, even from the outset, because essentially in FF2 that as long as you've got evasion, you are allowed to use shields in any challenge run, it's not going to be difficult. Maybe you're going to struggle in terms of DPS, but nothing after that. So that's one thing that you always got to remember. So opposed to that, Single class challenge runs here are, well, I guess these are the most common challenge runs in this game. But I've never done any of this, I've never watched any of this except for parts of the Berserker challenge run. So I'm not sure what to expect. Which is where I guess the surprise part is going to come for me. But hopefully that surprise and trying to come up with clever strats. Of course, if I hit a wall and I can't really think of anything, I've always got Matt to rely on. But to the extent possible, I'll try to come up with my own strats. And by my own, I mean come up with strats on my own. Of course, they might be already well established in the community, but I don't really have any idea. I've never participated in a 4-job fiesta. So yeah, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is I'm really looking forward to this. But I'm gonna try to make it as difficult as possible. Just to appreciate this job, this class that is the Blackmage, this wonder of this game. My only point of resentment is the fact that I won't be able to play Final Fantasy V like it is supposed to prepare, and holy shit, I'm dropping frames like hell. What is up today? Can you please not do that? At least it's not staying at 0 for a prolonged amount of time. That would concern me like nothing else. Damn it, woman. I'm just so used to dashing around. Mostly I've just been playing it on that ROM, which has removed all the cutscenes, most of the cutscenes, and also allows automatic dash. You don't have to have the thief passive or the thief in your party to enable dash. This feels ridiculously slow. I think that was all the treasures in this town. We've also bought the Blackmage, just in case. And I think that's it. Let's pick up Ferris. The first dungeon is very simple. I've done it. I've routed it out so many times. We don't need to really buy anything. But I don't know whether I should buy some equipment for the Blackmage. Blackmage will need daggers after all. Oh my god, really dropping a lot of frames. Okay, looks like today's gonna be one of those days. Yeah, looks like today's gonna be one of those days. Constantly going in the red, then back in green. Spends a fraction of time in yellow before. Something must have happened. Well, obviously we're playing an RPG game. right from the beginning, Faris is very interested in Lena's father. I think that is something I noticed even on my first playthrough. It's like, how do you know? Why are you so concerned about somebody a complete stranger, Faris? All these, what do you call them? Premonitions? No. Damn it, what do you call them? Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. Really? No encounters? Speak of the devil. Since we are freelancers right now, we don't have a problem with DPS. Of course, these guys are nothing to write home about. But technically, this is the first dungeon, and I don't know why I'm taking this encounter. Like I said, force of habit, I should be running away. Never mind. Should be just running away. Gonna try and see how low of a level we can do this at. The first boss is... I mean, if I'm gonna be running away from most random encounters, then what that means is effectively the only thing I have to worry about are bosses. I guess that's one way to look at it. That's one way to plan for it. I always like to have Bubs, Faris, and then Giloof, and Lena. Generally, what I like to do is make Bubs and Faris into physical-based classes, and Giloof/Krill, and Lena into magic classes. But obviously, we're not going to be doing that. I just need to make sure that I stay out of habit. Because like I said, I've been working on my no grinding route, and that requires taking each and every fight. So right now we've only got a dagger and a knife. I'm wondering if we actually do need to buy knives for the Blackmage once we get through this. Broadswords are just gonna be money. The first boss we need to plan for is Carl Boss. Yeah, dude literally has boss in his name. You gotta love him for that. Oh, come on, you had to use Breathwing? So most of the times I've seen this guy does not use Breathwing. So our first boss here, Wing Raptor, nothing to really speak about him. We just need to press A to win effectively. Given enough time, he will change forms, which I guess is this game's way of telling us what to expect from the rest of the game. That monsters, especially bosses, can change forms. I found that very, very fascinating. The amount of stuff that they added progressively in each subsequent Final Fantasy is just mind-boggling if you consider it. Just from a design perspective. Another pseudo-long cutscene here. So effectively this is the point where our challenge run begins. After this cutscene is over, I'm going to be changing everyone into a Blackmage. So let's talk about the Blackmage. In terms of physical DPS, they do have access to knives like most jobs, so it's not as if physically they're completely useless. Blackmage, I believe they have pathetic vitality, although I don't ever recall really having a problem with Blackmage HP. To be honest, I don't like the Blackmage. I've hardly ever played with the Blackmage in any Final Fantasy simply because I'm an MP hoarder. If at all I want to use MP, I want to use MP for curing and not for offensive purposes. Especially if you consider summons. Everybody likes to use summons, but they cost so much MP that it's just. I mean, I can't really say that I don't understand it because I do understand it. Everybody likes DPS, especially the ones they get with summons. But how? If you got only 300 MP on your character, and one summon costs 50 MP, is it really worth it that you can only use it in you can only use it 6 times? So in a way, I guess you could call me ultra conservative. I don't even like to use a 16 MP spell if I can help it. But obviously I'm gonna have to change that perspective for this run. Speaking of DPS, yeah, I think one very important information that this challenge run will give me is which is weak. Which enemy has elemental weaknesses. That is something that I never ever bothered with. I mean, some of the more famous ones we are aware of. But most of the enemies, I'm not really. I don't really have an idea of what elemental weaknesses they have. For example, obviously we know that out on the sea, probably most of the enemies are weak to bolt. Out in the desert, most of the enemies are weak to water, but apart from that, do they have any weaknesses that a black mage can exploit? I don't think so, but I guess we'll find out. I mean, I really should have a chart handy. But as I mentioned before, I have not prepared at all. Nothing. Cannot wear anything. I'm debating whether I need daggers at all. The problem I'm facing is that very shortly we'll be progressing to the next phase in the game. Once we get through Tona Canal, we cannot go back. And of course, this aspect of the game is epitomized in moving between worlds. So my only fear is if I progress to a subsequent phase in the game and then I hit a wall and I realize that holy shit, I needed something from the previous town, or I needed something from the previous world, what would happen? I'll be completely screwed. So I think it's in my best interest to maintain different saves. Definitely different save slots. Oh, do we get a full heal after that cutscene? Interesting. Alright, this is the commencement of the challenge run. Wish me luck. First thing we want to do is, we want to go back to 2. Now that we've realized that the crystals are in danger, we've made it our mission to save them. And the very first thing we need to do is get through this inner lake kind of thing. The passage to the next town is guarded by a canal, which is locked currently. Lena's friend Zoc here has the key, which is why we're gonna approach him. Really, today is not a good day, dropping a lot of frames here. I've lost the key to the canal. Oh, god damn it, old man. Don't give me that crap. I guess that's the end of the game. Please stay at my house for the night. Oh, so that was your end game? Bloody old lech. Come right this way. So after everything's said and done, will you cough up the key? Lena, can you take one for the team, please? Oh, incoming mage rage. We're gonna hear Butts' hometown melody, which is one of the best ones in this game. I have to admit, when I was playing this in the GBA version, I kind of shat on the music in this game, but I've grown to like pretty much each and every theme. Dun, 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 dun. I'm just gonna listen to this for a while. It actually did not register the first time, simply because we were in the middle of a cutscene and I was more focused on the dialogue than the music. But later on, when we actually entered the town, that is when it hit me. Wow, this is a fantastic theme. Never mind. I guess all of these cutscenes are just an effort to build the character. Honestly, I just don't care about that. And it looks really stupid, but I think the fact that I mean, obviously, you think of an old man who's watching a young girl sleep, and you'd get all sorts of ideas in your head. But I guess what the intention was there is Lena was having some dream, and she was I don't know, what do you call that? Talking in her sleep. She was talking in her sleep, and you could see that she desperately wanted to save the crystals. And I don't know what evidence they have that made both Lena and Ferris believe that Lena's father is alive, King Tycoon. But she desperately wants to save her subconsciously. I think that's the reason that this old moron decided that you know what, I think I'll give them the responsibility of the Tona Canal anyway. An interesting theory of why the Tona Canal was shut down in the first place is apparently Tycoon and Waltz were at war at one point, which does make sense. When we visit Waltz, oh no, not Waltz, Carmen. I don't get this. Holy shit. Why am I dropping so many frames? Hang on, let me just take a look at this. This is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. It's not as if something is being downloaded in the background either. Oh man, this is just one of those days. God, I hate it. Especially since it's been so long since I've dropped frames like this. Damn it! What do I have to do? What do I have to do? Whatever. So apparently, apparently 50 years ago there was a war. When we visit Carbon, we will come to know that there was a war 50 years ago where all the dragons. Technically, we don't call them dragons; we call them wyverns. I still, to this day, I don't really understand what the difference between a dragon and a wyvern is. I guess there are some mythological differences. Not mythological, canonical. I don't know what exact word to use, but both dragons and wyverns are mythological creatures. They are completely fictitious after all. I'm guessing they are based on dinosaurs. Just flying dinosaurs. Pterodactyl. But yeah, to this day, I don't really know what the difference between wyverns and dragons is supposed to be. How would one differentiate? How would one understand whether what something is a dragon or a wyvern? At least in Final Fantasy games, so far, one thing I've been able to note is that dragons always seem to be in the monster category. And if it's a wyvern, it's on your side. I mean, that's just stupid. Hang on, first thing you need to do is just put them in the back row. I've not bought any equipment to speak of. Oh god, another cutscene. I've gotten so used to playing that ROM which it's not have cutscenes that I think I'm going to be constantly surprised when a cutscene starts up. I don't really remember. I used to actually, now that I think about it, I have not played FF5 more than a handful of times. It's an absolute shame, but in a way, it's also a good thing because I've been branching out, playing other games too. Normally, I just stick to Final Fantasy 2 after all. I'm gonna protect them anyway. This was the most stupidest thing. I remember laughing at it. Nope, I have no idea. I have no idea why I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. It feels like the right thing to do. God damn it. God damn it. Makes sense for a change. Can't really expect that from a SNES game. Once again, Faris shows her omniscience. He is alive! I'm telling you, he's alive! We need to make it our mission to find King Tycoon. What the hell? What is wrong with you people? Let's go! To protect the crystals! Alright, we're on our way. You know, recently I watched this psychological anime called... oh my god, it has a pretty complicated name. I'm gonna try and do it justice and pronounce it as Puella Magi Magica Magica. That was a mouthful. But I mean, it looks very childish, but it has a very endearing sort of depth to it. And why I suddenly thought of that is because now you see this cutscene where suddenly you've got four crystals. Those four crystals are lending these R4 protagonists power in the form of jobs in order to, in order to achieve a certain objective. And who chose that objective? I guess it was the crystals themselves that chose that objective. You gotta save us. Here, take this power, but you gotta save us. So in a similar vein, there's a story in that anime where teenage girls are granted power in order to fulfill a certain objective. The key part being that they are told that that objective is actually the right thing to do. And then it turns out, I hope I'm not spoiling, you know what, nobody cares. It turns out that what that objective was, it was going to lead to the destruction of humanity. So effectively speaking, the one that gave them that power was doing that for his own purposes. So a plot twist like that, I was just incredibly shocked, and that was a point where I really started liking the anime. I don't understand why animes do stuff like that. You have to watch it for like 10 or 15 episodes in order to get to a point where you actually start enjoying it. I hate that about animes. What that forces me to do is to even watch stuff that I'm not really enjoying currently, in the hopes that at some point in time it will pick up. In fact, contrary to that was my experience with this anime, the name of which I've forgotten now, sadly. I was just watching it for hentai, not even gonna lie. I basically searched a hentai. That was one of the ones that popped up that was most popular with everyone, and I decided to start seeing it. Didn't particularly enjoy it, but whatever. I just wanted to see what that hentai was all about. And to my shock, after about 7 episodes, that thing just took on an entirely different nature. It became story focused, it became completely psychological, and it delved into the issues of multiple personality disorder. It was a complete 180-degree turn that shocked the crap out of me. I mean, just never underestimate, I guess. Okay, this is not that we are at the brink of entering the canal. This is one of the points I was talking about. This is a point of no return. Well, not this. We can return from here, but I don't think once we enter the canal we can save. So I'm gonna save here. Unfortunately, I only have 4 save slots. So I think I'm gonna need to use save states as well. If for nothing but to maintain certain states where I'm never really at a point of no return. I think I'm going to save this here and then progressively keep using. Let's see if 4 slots are enough. This should be enough. I'm guessing they only gave us 4 slots because of the memory constraints. It is a SNES after all. Of course, another cutscene. Does anyone find it strange that Butts just... you don't even have to get off the ship in order to open that damn canal? Butts just goes on the... whatever that projection at the front of the ship is called, and just does something and it opens the canal. But how does that even work? We're just running away from all these guys. So we're just gonna keep running away until we fight the boss, and if the boss thrashes me, then only I will try and see whether there is anything that I need to do. As far as possible, I'm gonna try and not grind, but since I've not planned this run out, I'm gonna need to grind post facto rather than pre-planned. Really, the more I think about it, the more I think that I should have planned it. It would have been a lot of fun that way itself, even planning out a run. But like I said, I do want to experience the shock of hitting a wall, hitting a point where I just can't come up with a strat, or it's not even possible. And speaking of coming up with a strat, I'm completely okay with stuff that depends on RNG. If I'm going to rely on any status effects and it's only got a percentage chance of working, I'm completely okay with that. Obviously, that doesn't say much about my skill, but what that does say is that I'm not willing to grind. So if there is like a 20% chance, if there's only a 20% chance that I'm going to actually proc a status effect, I'm going to take that, which means I'm going to keep retrying a boss until it happens. I'm not going to be anal about the fact that I need 100% safe strats. The only 100% safe strats in RPGs is to grind to level 99 or whatever the max level is. And sometimes in some of the RPGs, even that is not a 100% safe strat. So think on that. Holy shit. Carl Boss, he has a crippling weakness to Bolt. So for this part of the game, we're just gonna have it an easy street, no problems whatsoever. Tentacle is not bad, but I need to pay attention to the fact that he's doing about 18 damage. So I think Lena can survive one more hit, but we don't really care about that. And bosses only give ABP, we don't care about ABP at all. That's one of the... Well, from a grinding perspective, that's one of the nice things about this run. Silrod, no! Yeah, whatever. Carl Boss is trying to take Silrod with him. That dude just never listens. I have to say, watching Sildra die here, and then obviously she's gonna come back, and watching her die again is one of the most brutal moves this game has subjected upon me. That was really unfair. At least in Final Fantasy II, you don't really get any time to develop an attachment with your fourth party member, so even when they die, you don't really have to care that much. Not that people focus on the story when the gameplay is so damn difficult in the first place. But I'm just guessing that the only tool back in 1992 that game developers had at their disposal was to kill off characters in order to inspire shock or evoke shock in the viewer or gamer player. I'm guessing that's the only reason. Storytelling really hadn't taken off until Final Fantasy IV, I guess. In fact, considering how lighthearted, stupid, and very idiotic in many cases Final Fantasy V is, I'm guessing that Final Fantasy IV was more of a fluke. They just tried something out and it just clicked. The entire story, the story-based nature of that game just clicked with everyone. To the point where some consider FF4 as the best FF. Some consider Final Fantasy 4 as the best game ever. Screw Chrono Trigger. And speaking of Chrono Trigger, I think that was another fluke. Alright, so this is the point of no return. And this is one of the things that I was alluding to. Especially on the first playthrough, this really stings. When you realize that you no longer have access to what else? Yeah, just 2. We wanted access to those shops. So normally what I do on my first playthrough is avoid buying anything at all, avoid wasting any money until there is a very valid reason to actually spend that cash. So you can see when I actually encountered when we got to this phase in the game and I found that we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't go back to that place, it pissed me off like anything. Because I'm not used to that. I'm not used to areas just being shut out. What is the expectation? That you buy everything that you need before you exit a place? I think that's a ridiculous assumption, especially for such an old game. I can understand in modern RPGs which give you plenty of cash and drops and whatnot. I should probably be fighting these skeletons because they will drop daggers. I should probably be fighting those skeletons because right now only... Does Bubs have anything? No. Lena? Who has the dagger? Paris and Lena have... Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Lena. I think Paris and Lena will do the most damage, however little that extra damage is going to be. Actually, Bubs is level 3, so I should give him the dagger. Not that I don't think it's going to make a difference, but we'll find out. So right now we've only got the knife. If I keep fighting those skeletons, there's a pretty good chance that they'll drop a dagger. So I should probably do that. Because I do foresee the next boss. I do foresee the next boss becoming being pretty difficult at my current levels, especially if I don't have a dagger. Let me think about this. What my approach needs to be. I mean, I did say that I wanted to avoid grinding, but I also really want to appreciate being underleveled here. I think that'll give me a very good idea of how good or how bad a Blackmage is at certain points in the game. I mean, theoretical analysis aside, I think I missed the chest there. Psycho Head! I forgot they were called that! This is where we're going to strip Paris. Oh wow, just dropped a whole bunch of frames again. God damn it, god damn it. Every time it goes to 0 and stays there for like 3 or 4 seconds, I'm really pissed off. Alright, so this is where we're gonna take a sneak peek at Paris's boobs. Honestly, having seen the artwork, having seen Paris's artwork, I fail to understand how anybody can mistake her for a man. I mean, can men look that feminine at all? I mean, I guess I guess they can. I don't have I don't have much experience with trans and those genders, but honestly, look at Faris. She's so pretty. Can a man be that pretty? God damn it! Once again, it went to zero and stayed there for 3 seconds. It's just so it's fluctuating so much today. It's almost like I'm over Wi-Fi. That's not the case at all. I don't know how much I'm going to be fretting about dropped frames here. I guess I should just soldier on. It's just going to be one of those days. Premium Empire would just get laughed at. A pretty man, on the other hand, not at all. Adi, you're too beautiful. Yeah, exactly what I was saying. Very conveniently, there are exactly 4 beds here. This is what I was talking about, some EDC in this game. I think it's completely intentional. I guess after the seriousness that was Final Fantasy IV, they wanted a light-hearted title. But damn it, man, maybe it's the weather. Maybe even my internet is just sweating internally like a pig. It's just so warm here right now. Do we need something? I literally did not fight any fight, did I? Alright, so this here we have a point to rest and a save point before the next boss. So obviously this is going to be my grind spot. All I want to find out is what exactly needs to be a grind goal in order to beat the next boss. We'll see. Who knows? I might even get through it this attempt itself. You never know with good RNG, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Yeah, but unfortunately, this entire sequence of events, I'm probably gonna have to. No, actually, I don't have to repeat. Yeah. Once I pick up all of this treasure, I'm gonna go back to the save point and save. At the very least, the fact that I'm running away from so many fights is going to help me with the chicken knife later on. So, if anything at all, that is one positive. Only problem is that we don't have a way to wield the chicken knife without encountering its proc, without incurring its penalty as well. The fact that 33% of the time it's gonna attempt to flee. We just have no way of doing anything with that. Also, some of the late game encounters become really difficult to run from. So what is my plan? Oh crap. Back attacks are bad. Oh, he did half of Gulov's damage. If he did that back attack did more than half of Gulov's max HP. I should probably keep them in the front row. Battles right now are pretty easy to run from. And what was I doing? Where's the save point? I've never. Wow. I don't think I've ever gone back after picking up all those treasures. So I don't really remember how to get back.